I will just present you about the Islamic perception of environment and sustainable development. Then I will talk about how we prepared the Islamic Declaration on Global Climate Change. It seems that environmental problems is the root cause of world's greatest problems. Climate change, deforestation, erosion, floods, drought, hunger, racism, migration, international and domestic terrorism, human rights violations, human trafficking, economic inequality, and even nihilism. When trying to understand the current conflicts in the Middle East and respective domestic and international terror, we should also think the negative and devastating effects of climate change on the region on the one hand, and the rush of powerful states to control the region for the enormous resources of fossil fuels on the other. And after I just prepared my talk, I just have some scientists link the warming trend to record drought and later unrest in the Middle East. Because the current governments, the very centralized governments of the region, they cannot understand the implication of global climate change on the region. Therefore, they try to solve domestic problem. People just want new jobs. Just remember in Tunisia, new jobs, and also to help them about the effect of drought in the region. They oppress the people, and we have more problems in the region. As much as our dependency on these resources continue, on fossil fuels continue, it seems these conflicts will prevail too. After the fall of Berlin Wall, symbol of Cold War era, eco-philosopher Henryk Sokolowski warned the West with these remarkable words, quote, "The West has won the battle against communism, but winning this battle, is it a victory or perhaps is a Pyrrhic victory? Entranced and mesmerized by this battle, we have perhaps neglected to see that we have been losing a more important battle, the battle to save the earth, the battle to save the meaning of our lives." Today, we understand and appreciate what Sokolowski's words really meant and how to fight to win the battle to save the earth and also to save the meaning of our lives, not only in France, everywhere. I condemn terrorist acts in France and all other verses, but just 30 years ago, this eco-philosopher says, all lives are precious for us. We have to think about how we can fight and solve these problems in the new spirit of optimism, understanding, and cooperation. As the problems we are dealing with are too complex, we need to respond to them collectively, as the spirit of this event is a good example, is a good indication. This paper will discuss the role of religions in general and Islam in particular for environmental awareness and sustainable development. Then I will summarize the process of how Islamic Declaration for Global Climate Change drafted and declared in August 2015, its major messages, and how it is received in the world. Although the Enlightenment Project had tried to undermine the role of religion in modern society, religion is still with us. As we just witnessed in the plenary meeting this morning, even in China, communist China, now they are looking for help how religion can be a part of charity works in the society. The impact of religion on the natural and man-made landscape has been experienced and documented since the beginning of civilization. Sacred spaces, sacred groves, sacred structures, temples, tombs, animal and planet domestication, food taboos, and religious calendars are but few examples of man's efforts in transforming elements of his immediate environment into religious symbols and representation, which can be observed in Istanbul in Hagia Sophia, Hagia Sophia, and Sultan Ahmet Mosque, and also as well as 11,000 years old Göbekli Tepe in Şanlıurfa. If you haven't seen, I urge you to visit, or in maybe next visit to visit this. It is 11,000 years new finding. Klaus Schmidt, a German archaeologist who has been working here for more than a decade, convinced it is the first site of the world's oldest temple. So it's also a good example of the role of religion for us. Providing people with a sense of meaning and purpose is arguably one of the most powerful but least appreciated assets of the religions. A sense of purpose can unify entire societies around national goals. Ritual communications has a special place in the movement to create sustainable societies because it has long had the effect of protecting the natural environment. Beyond the capacity to provide meaning, religions carry moral capital in their ability to project moral authority. Last but not least, there is the potential impact of the sheer number of religious adherents in the world population. It seems that around the world, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Confucians, Buddhists, and 9 other religious groups such as Judaism, Baha'i, the Jains, the Sikhs, including indigenous religions, comprise about 85% of all the religions. So, if we just include them to be a part of the solution to environmental problems and sustainable developments, it is a huge number for us. So we can explain and exemplify how religious and spiritual traditions have a great deal to offer in creating culture of sustainability. I just want to summarize. Religions can help us to educate about the environment. There was a lot of talk yesterday about the role of religion and education, especially Professor Kohl's talk and also Alparslan Açıkgenç underlined the importance of a creative and new religious education curricula to respond to these problems. So they educate about the environment by including education instruction in religious education, educate about consumption, educate about investments, express the sacredness of natural world in the rituals, reclaim forgotten assets of humanity. Religious traditions have a long list of little emphasized economic teachings that could be helpful for building sustainable economies. Just, I think, the Pope Francis, in his encyclical on environment, reminded some of them to all of us. These include prohibitions against the overuse of farmland and pursuit of wealth as an end in itself, advocacy of broad risk sharing, critiques of consumption, economies designed to serve the common good. The role of religion in changing and forming people's perception of universe and themselves can be seen in pre-Islamic Arabs' perception of the universe, which was regarded as lifeless, meaningless, and purposeless. As a result of these understandings, pre-Islamic Arabs do not feel any moral responsibility towards nature and environment. The Quran, from the beginning, tried to change and replace the pagan Arabs' perception of nature with a new and vivid understanding. Nature has been regarded as the prime miracle of God, cited persistently in the Quran due to its well-knit structure and regularity. The Quran's insistence on the order, beauty, and harmony of nature implies that there is no demarcation between what Quran reveals and what nature manifests to us. Now we can talk on how we prepared the Islamic Declaration of Global Climate Change on the spirit of the Quranic teaching and value system. As you know, Pope Francis declared an encyclical on integral ecology earlier this summer. It has been welcomed not only by Catholics, but many concerned people around the world, and I am one of them. The Pope boldly reminded that it is time for awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the awakening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life before it is too late. Pope's encyclical and its worldwide positive reception on the one hand, and the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference, which will be held next month in Paris, on the other, encourages us as Muslim environmentalists from different continents, from different countries and backgrounds to draft the Islamic Declaration on Global Climate Change in early June 2015 this year. The drafting committee was, let me show you, just, okay. This is, we held 2 days symposium in Istanbul, you know, and from Malaysia, Professor Azizan Baharuddin, and from UK, Fazlun Khalid, and from Saudi Arabia, Osman Lewilian, from Indonesia, Fahruddin, and from Morocco, Abdul Majid, and from Turkey, myself. And there was some others, but the draft committee was constituted from us. So we initially prepared that declaration. We sent it, you know, for consultation to all leading Muslim scholars on the subject. And Sayyid Hussein Nasr, who was he's one of well-known scholar on the subject, who is the first wrote on the environmental Islam and environment in 60s. And Professor Sayyid Hussein Nasr thanked us, also encouraged us, and make very important and meaningful contribution to the declaration. With declaration, you know, as Muslim scholars, we want further exemplify the trend of faith-based climate activism ahead of the UN Climate Change Summit. In this spirit, we called 1.6 million Muslims to engage on the issue of climate change and take bold actions to stem its worst impacts. The declaration states that there is deep irony, that humanity's unwise and short-sighted use of these resources is now resulting in the destruction of the very conditions that have made our life on earth possible. We ask ourselves that if we do not change our short-sighted perception and attitude toward the planet, what will future generations say of us? I have 2 granddaughters. How I will respond them 20, 30 years in the future? More importantly, we believe in the next life. So we destroy the nature bestowed and given us as a resource by God, created by God. So how we will face God in the next world? So it is a moral obligation. We cannot leave this to the politicians. And unfortunately, many times in many places, I don't like generalization, but the vision and the limit of politicians' vision is limited with the next election. Short-term vision and goals. So we ourselves have to think about our grandchildren, about future generation next, and also what can be done. This is the spirit of our declaration, and we publicize it here in Istanbul. And to our surprise, there was a big welcome in the world. Just next day, the New York, you see, the New York Review of Book, and here you see the Bill McKibben is my colleague, is one of the most well-known environmentalists and activists in the United States and in the world. He wrote a long article about our declaration. and also encouraged us. And then, see, the Nature magazine, in 20 years ago, 15 years ago, anybody will tell you Nature magazine, a very scientific and secular magazine, will have space for Muslim declaration on global climate change. Nobody will believe you, because there was no role for religion in the modern society. So, because we very boldly underlined and declared we are on the same boat. We have to understand each other. We have to talk each other. We have to be part of the solution. And so, The Guardian, Islamic leaders issue bold call for rapid phase out of fossil fuels. Because, you know, the fossil fuels rich region is the Middle East. And to say these things in the Middle East this is why it is bold. Because still, in Turkey, is a big issue because government is investing more in coal, in fossil fuels. And we are saying, no, there's other alternatives. We have to, yes, okay. And Newsweek, Islamic leader issues sweeping climate change declaration. How will we face our Lord and Creator? You see the headline. This is the gist and the heart of our message. Every Muslim, if we help to every Muslim to understand this message, is enough. So we will not wait for the political leadership or political leaders to do something on behalf of us. We have to take care of these issues, and we also have to push political leaders to do something. And also Global Catholic Climate Movement have on their websites made this has a piece. Generation Progress also very good piece on declaration. And Al Jazeera is also wrote a lengthy commentary about our declaration. And there are others in Turkey, also in Turkish press. I also thank them. And this IQ journal almost devoted half of this issue to the role of religions and Islam on environment. And you know, this is Presidency of Religious Affairs of Turkey. After the impact of our declaration in the world and in Turkey, they also started a campaign about the climate change. This is my last slide. You know, there was a story well known in Abrahamic tradition and well known, especially, let me say, in my country. Nimrod lit a great fire in which to throw the prophet Abraham, while a crow was carrying brushwood to throw into the fire. An ant was carrying some water. The crow asked the ant mockingly, "What are you going to do with that water?" The ant said, "I am carrying water to put out the fire into which they will throw Abraham." The crow laughed and said, "The water you carry cannot possibly put out that huge fire." And the ant said, "That's all right. I know it will not be sufficient, but I will have demonstrated my commitment and also my side to be known. I am on the part of I want to, you know, I am on the part of the Abraham." See? So with this declaration, we just declared to the world and also 1.6 billion our fellow Muslims, we have to be on the positive side of fighting sustainable development and ecological problems. We have to find new solutions. Most importantly, our logistic of our meeting is done by young people from UK, Belgium, and European countries. Then it is pop up in my mind. If we present youth with new alternatives to pour their energies, they will not be a part of radical and marginal groups. They will not be, you know, attracted by these radical groups, because they can do something for the future of the humanity. They can do something for the future of their generation next. So it is not enough to say the youth in the Western countries, especially who have, as just Professor Cole said yesterday, problem of unemployment, problem of identity crisis, problem of alienation. Keep distance from the Daesh or whatever radical or marginal groups. It is not enough. This advice is not enough. We have to help them to be a part of, civil NGOs, also, environmental groups, also to work for sustainable development. Thank you very much.